All right, so the episode in my life about doing cocaine. I never snorted cocaine. I only shot it up, and it was the only way I liked to do it. But getting involved with cocaine was more about a person who I loved than anything. But then I ended up getting hooked on it. So that was the drag part of it. I couldn't just shut it off. So I really liked it. The only thing I didn't like was see, the thing with cocaine. This is what everybody has to know if you want to get involved in cocaine, is that cocaine makes you feel wonderful until like about 25 minutes after you've done it, and you feel the exact opposite of how good you felt when you were rushing or when you were high on it. But I ended up having an addiction on cocaine to cocaine for at least 2 years strong, straight, and then I got off of it for a while, but that was because uh, the inevitable was happening, that I was spending all my money on it, and then like you hear the story over and over, and then you lose everything, or you're getting kicked out of your apartment or something like that, and that's what was going to happen to me. So I had to have the reality of it. But the reality of it um, was well, I suppose the reality of it all is finding out that it's not worth it, and you have to get off, and you have to stop. If you keep doing it, your life is just going to be destroyed, and that is the end result of it. You can't go on like that. You can't go on spending every single penny that you have, that you make, on a drug that supposedly makes you happy or just makes you high. It's just an addiction. And the addiction is a powerful thing, because you can be addicted to so many things. But I was honestly was the addiction towards cocaine was first an addiction towards a person who liked to shoot up cocaine, and so I wanted to be like that person because that's who I liked, and I wanted to be just like them. So that's how it started. At the time, I ended up after I left the shed, I ended up getting a little apartment somewhere, I think. I can't remember. There's a lot of blur there because at one point I was living in the Old West End, and I know I wasn't doing cocaine then. So it was only when I lived at this place that is now demolished. It was it's called Cardinal Street, off of Monroe, right across from what used to be called I think the Avalon Theater. And I think that's what it was. That burned down and was left. I mean, this was a seedy end of town, and it was also by a McDonald's. The McDonald's that still might be there. I don't know, but anyway, it was next to the Budapest restaurant. And the interesting thing about this whole situation is that at one point the person who I was getting it from was being watched by the police, by like undercover police. And I spotted that right away, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't get it from anybody else. But every time I would go over to this person's house, I knew I was being watched, and I was getting paranoid. And I was really getting paranoid. And what I found out later, like they did come into my apartment, and they did come into my apartment because, and the reason how I knew this and how I knew this whole thing happened is because I had a dog, and her name was Susie. I remember that at the time, some little black dog, or medium-sized black dog. And I walked into the apartment before I even got to her, to Susie, who was in the back, and found out that there was a drip mark on the floor. And I wondered where that drip mark would have come from. And I thought, oh my God, they had drug-sniffing dogs in my apartment. And I knew it wasn't from Susie because I had just come home, and before I even got Susie out of the back. And I knew I was like in really like scary trouble. Like I was scared. I was scared I was going to get busted and my mom would find out or something like that. She was alive then, and so everything I did at the time was secret. You know what I mean? And I don't know, but I was under the guise of total paranoia. I mean, you would be anywhere you go. I would be scared. I would like be looking like, and it just makes you paranoid anyway. And I would be like looking out windows and just standing there like for long periods of time, trying to see any movement in cars. It was ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. But listen to this. There was a person who lived next to me up in the apartment. This is how I knew it was really going on. There was a guy that was living next to me with his girlfriend. He was black and he had a white girlfriend. His name was Daryl. I'll never forget that his name was Daryl. Real nice guy. And, you know, they smoked pot. And I think that I smoked with them and stuff like that. But I was on the back porch and I was with them. And evidently, these vice cops must have made a pact with the people from the Budapest restaurant, because like they were up in their above apartment, and they were using it as a lookout. The apartment, you know, with these Venetian blinds, as a lookout into the back of my place. And then I knew the people who lived below at the bottom who also did some drugs. They did these other type of drugs. But anyway, I talked to, all right, so I'm up, all right, I was skipping around, but there was this guy named Daryl who lived next to me with his white girlfriend, and I was on the back porch, and I said, okay, I said, Daryl, will you just like, I'm facing you, and you're looking out back there, now will you tell me, is there a person, is the Venetian blind opening and closing right now? And he goes, it is. And I'm going, uh-huh. I said, there's people that's watching me, Daryl. I said, I can tell. I know that they're. I said, it's open and closed. Just keep on looking over there. And he goes, they are looking at you. And it's like, I knew that I wasn't just, I mean, they were really freaking after me. They were really after me. And I got to a point where I was like, just, I mean, this was just getting ridiculously stupid. Oh, and not only that, okay, so the people that lived below the Budapest restaurant in an apartment, I knew them. And they were like doing drugs. It was like everybody around was doing some type of drug, you know. But I mean, as far as I knew, I was the only one doing cocaine. But anyway, I said, does anybody live above you, like, you know, in this above the Budapest restaurant? And they were in the Budapest restaurant, a back apartment, and they said, no, but we hear people up there walking around, but we don't know who they are. And it's like, oh, this is terrible, you know, this is like they're watching me, you know, they're watching me. And it got to a point where I was so paranoid about it that I called down to downtown Toledo, to the Vice. I said, I want the Vice people, I want to talk to them. And I got them on the phone and I said to them, I said, listen, this is Roger Zelensky, and I know that you guys are watching me, and I am not muling. I don't know what you guys are watching for, because I said, I am not selling drugs, I am not muling it around. And the guy goes like this. He goes, Mr. Zelensky, I mean, sir. You know, he said it like that. And it's like, aha, they said my name. They know my name down there. I know that I'm really in trouble. You know, and I swear this went on for like months. But they never, and they were in my apartment. I know that they were in my apartment, but they never came right out and like arrested me or tried to, you know, try to get me on the spot or something like that. Like, so I know that they were, and I found out months later, even after I had gotten off of cocaine, that somebody in the neighborhood who knew somebody that knew somebody that knew the vice cops or something like that, that they were really after me. But somehow, I never got in any trouble. But through it all, I got off of the coke. Because the paranoia was just too much. I mean, it was just too much, and my life was miserable because of it. So, I mean, if you talk about paranoia, I mean, I was one paranoid person. I mean, paranoid, okay? All right, there you go.